Okay then, so to get started with Webpack, the first thing that we should do is create a Webpack config file in the root of our project directory, so inside chapter 19 right here. Now this file is where we specify how we want Webpack to work. It's essentially going to be our Webpack control center, and it's going to outline things like where our source files are located and where they should be bundled to. Now before, when we worked with Babel, we placed these options directly in the script over here. We specified where the source file was and where we want to output it to. But because Webpack can do so much more than Babel, we have a whole dedicated file for all of our options. So that's the first thing we're going to do now. We're going to create a Webpack config file. Now to do that, let's just create a new folder inside chapter 19 called webpack.config.js. So inside here, this is where we're going to specify all of our Webpack setup. Now the first thing that we need to do is say module.exports is equal to an object. And this object is basically an options object for how we want Webpack to work. Now the module.exports bit right there, that is something completely new to us at this point. Now this is not JavaScript that can run normally in a browser. It's JavaScript that can only run directly on a computer with the help of Node.js. So this is another reason we need Node.js installed to run code like this inside our Webpack config file on a computer. Because remember, this Webpack file, this is not going to be running in the browser. It's going to be running in the computer to compile all our code together, bundle it all together, and then spit out this bundle. And this bundle is ultimately the only thing that is going to be running inside a browser. So all this code that we write here, this is going to be run on our computer using Node.js. And this module.exports thing right here is something only available when we're running JavaScript on a computer using Node, not in a browser. So module.exports basically means that we're going to export a Webpack configuration object right here, which Node.js is then going to process when we run the Webpack command later on. Now inside this object, we need to specify two main properties. We need to set an entry property and then an output property. The entry property is a path to a file which our initial input file, probably this thing right here, is living. And the output is going to describe where we want the resulting JavaScript bundle file to be output. So let's do this. First of all, let's do the entry. So let's create a property called entry. Oops, spell it correctly for a start. And this is going to be set equal to a simple string. This string is going to be a relative path to this entry point file. So currently we're in the root folder, so we could say // to say current directory, and then we want to go into the source folder, then we want to go into the index.js. So that is our entry point right there, this file. So that's the first property done. So the next property we need to do is the output property, so let's do that. And this is not just going to be a single string value. This is going to be an object because we need to specify a couple of things and we need to put our comma just after that. So inside here, first of all, we need to specify the path. Now, the path this time is not going to be a relative URL. It's going to be an absolute URL. And an absolute URL basically describes where the file is located on this computer relative to the root of my computer. Now that would mean if I open up my terminal, I would have to, let me just right clear in here, I would have to copy all of this because this is from the root of my computer and then go from here up until this file over here, bundle.js. Now that's fine, I could do that, but what if then I uploaded this to GitHub, then you downloaded it, you would have to go in and change this path completely. So instead of doing that, I'm going to approach this a different way. What I'm going to do is use another node-only feature, and that is the dir name property. So if I do something like this, __ dir name, that right there gets us the complete absolute path up until this directory, the root directory of the project where the Webpack file is sitting. So that gets us this far to chapter 19, but what we have to do then is tack on the rest of the path to the output right here, bundle.js. Now I can't just tack on a string like that. Instead, what we have to do is use a node method, a built-in node method called path.resolve. So what I'm going to do first of all is come up here and I'm going to require something. So I'm going to say const path is equal to require, and we're requiring right here the path module in Node.js. So this is a built-in module in the Node.js core library. This comes when you install Node.js on your computer. So all I'm doing here is requiring that particular module from the Node library. And it means now we can use it over here. So I'm going to use this function path.resolve. And this method right here takes two parameters, the two parts of the path that we want to join together. So we want to take __ dir name, and that gets us the absolute URL of this folder relative to the root of our computer. So it's going to look something like this right here. Now we want to also join it to the second part, which is going to be inside the dist folder, then inside assets, then bundle.js. So let's tack on the second part. We do a comma, then a string. We want to go inside dist and then / assets. Now we don't say the file name at the end. Okay, we just do the path to the folder where the file will be, because the next property down here inside this object is going to be the file name, and that's what we save the file as. So this is where we save it, the output, and this is the file name that we save it as. So we'll just call this again bundle.js. So now inside our Webpack config file, we're saying that our entry point is right here, which is down here, and our output point and output file name is right here. So when we run Webpack in the future, it's going to know where to start and where to finish. Now, it's not doing much in between at the minute, but it's a start. And in the next video, we'll look at how we can actually run Webpack using the Webpack CLI.